Hi, Beth. So the purpose of this live is because I just want to say a few words about the psychological industry. Um, so I've just been scrolling lately, and I heard some really nasty feedback from some people who I really respected and adored, quite frankly. Elena Cardone would be the number one that I was disappointed by and saddened by her content. Um, After her would be several women that I can't identify that associate with the mental health community. Um, Elena Cardone, I just feel grossed out by because she made this video where she is just talking so poorly about people who have ever suffered from addiction or who use drugs or drink alcohol. And she's kind of like excusing alcohol use as if it's fine, but demonizing like anything else. She, and if you know anything about them, Grant Cardone was an addict when they met. So you would think that she would have more compassion for it. Um, but it was just a really offensive video. I don't want to personally be surrounded by drug addicts or, abusive people either, but I'm not going to jump on the internet and kick a whole entire demographic while they're down, right? So I was just very, very, very let down by her. I always felt like she was great at being kind of supportive and forgiving, and she doesn't really seem to be that way. So I was, and she's like one of the few women entrepreneurs that like literally embodies what I stand for, like the husband, the fitness, the business, the family. I have the family. I've had the husbands. I have the fitness, but it's all individually. And her life, it was like she was able to incorporate everything: the social standing, the public figure, the husband who's a public figure, the tremendous success with tremendous failure. She just handled it all, from the way I felt, very well. And I just really looked up to her. And I'm just really saddened by the content. And on one hand, it's like you have all of these people, women, men, whomever, and whether they're mental health professionals or not, they're sitting there saying, you need to do this. Why don't people heal their traumas before they get into a relationship? You need to do that. This will help you. This is the way you go about that. Why would you feel like you need to be in a relationship with someone when you're unhealed? Why are you spewing your trauma on others? And it's just disgusting to me. I mean, these are women with Ivy League educations, zero experience being harmed, being traumatized, going through hell, living in oppression, living in poverty, and they're just sitting on their fucking mic, just saying the most ignorant shit that money could buy. Like, who wrote these scripts? For real. If you understand trauma, you understand that there is no one size fits all approach to its healing. And I don't think there's anyone who's a better expert on trauma or healing it than I am. I want to talk about the cycle. Since filming the show and the huge upset with Dylan, I have been forced against my will and with no control over my own situation. So external malicious control has forced me to be a part of a vicious cycle of abuse where I'm a victim like 90% of the time. For about a year and a half after Weston was born, it stopped. And I thought it was over. But it started again about 6 months ago, April, when someone broke into my home and I filed a police report. And the person was never apprehended and no further follow-up was completed. And then a month ago, they're pooping in my toilet. And a week ago, they're breaking in and the door handle's falling off when I get home from work and try to open my door. It's literally off, the screws just falling onto the floor. But I tell, the police and the landlord and everyone what's going on. And the response is that I'm, wrong, or that no one's going into my house. I'm imagining things, etc. and so forth. If you've been following along, you can see that I video recorded from my apartment in Harwood Heights every time someone would break in. I called law enforcement and filed police reports every time someone would break in. Now we're here after a period of housing displacement, sexual assault, robbery, other assault, financial manipulation, etc., and so forth at my new apartment. And they're doing the exact same things that they did at Montclair. And it's bigger than that, you know? They literally announce when they're going to make me go crazy because it fits someone's narrative. Someone is right if I go crazy. But I've just spent 18 months with nothing going on. I've never gone crazy even once. I go every day and work. I've not taken a single day off in over a year. I go visit my son. I call my other 3 children and make sure they're okay, send them money when they need food, handle business. Pay payment, make payment plans for tickets that the city alleges I owe, pay them on time, pay my rent on time, pay my car payment on time. I purchased a car. If I was crazy and couldn't care for myself or my children, how would I work 54 hours a week? If I was crazy and imagining things, how would my doorknob physically fall to the floor when I try to open the door because someone has manually unscrewed the screws that keep it on and in its place? They wouldn't. So we're here in this space where I've been being blatantly abused for 6 years, and I just keep coming on here and documenting it because leave it to the people surrounding me to tell it nothing ever happened and I'm crazy. Who the fuck are these people? And why is no one doing anything about them? Let me ask you, if your mother was raped and thrown in a tent, pregnant, and held there for 7 months under padlock and key, would you want her to receive justice? Let me ask you, if your mother was basically kidnapped and separated from her children and isolated all alone, publicly scrutinized, sexually assaulted, physically assaulted, bludgeoned twice, what would you want for your mother? What would you want for your wife, your sister, your daughter? The unexplainable periods of limited or controlled communication with my children, the fact that someone Botoxed half of my face or did something or that my face is paralyzed, all of it, it's just, I haven't had Botox in 9 months. But no one's breaking into my house, so I'm imagining things. From a mental health perspective, my mental health has nothing to do with this. If someone was breaking into your house all the time and no one was helping you and you were just being thrown out fucking side with nowhere and no one, if your only support person turned into a woman randomly with no warning, I just want to know. What would you want for your mom? I need to be there for my babies, you know? And everyone I choose to look up to turns out to be a fucking scumbag, bro. They won't let me directly work with the tech team on my case. They won't tell me what's going on. I can feel it. Siempre estoy aquí con la cara de pendeja, siempre. Yo no sé qué está pasando. Pero puedo sentir algo está pasando, no sé qué. Over the last 2 years, they've helped me forget about Dylan and the show. And by they, I mean whoever is literally controlling my mental, whoever is writing the script. And then as soon as I forget and my life starts becoming peaceful, they start breaking in again. And then when I call to report it to the police and they ask me who could it be, I have to go back to that fucking scene. I have to start telling them all the things because I don't have anyone who it could be. I don't know. When Dylan threw me out of my home and I had to go live in an Airbnb alone, they would respond on my reviews. Heather and her group. There's no group. I've been by myself. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. When is it gonna stop? And then if it's not that, then they're grilling me about fraud. And if it's not fraud, then they're asking me about David. And if it's not David, then they're asking me about rape. And if it's not rape, then they're back asking me about fucking fraud, bro. I just want to be with my kids. Oh, and then it's just rape and fraud long enough to remember that I was human sex trafficked, and then it's back to that, and then from there it's, well, what kind of vaginal mutilation did you experience? Well, is everything okay down there? Should we send another player in to give us a visual? What? I can hear you. I just want to work and make my money and be with my kids. Be loved and loved. Have fun. Mind my own business. It's just sick, like what's going on in the world. It's so sick. And they keep on making me know stuff. Like, I don't want to know. And then, like, they tell me, they literally put it in writing, we are going to make you go crazy. And I'm supposed to what? What am I supposed to do? I can't protect myself. I don't have money to put it on Protect, or I don't understand. I always give the best of myself to my Uber riders and my DoorDash customers and my Instacart customers and my everyone, you know. I give them my best self when all the time. Unless I tell them, they would know nothing about all of the things I've went through. Most people who have been through a fraction of what I've gone through turn into fucking vegetables, brain dead, can't move, can't fucking survive, can't function, or drug addicts, or they numb their pain somehow, and I'm just here working every fucking day and going to the gym. I just want to know when all of this propaganda is gonna stop, and are they gonna actually like start letting people in on all of this, like this spiritual awakening shit? Are they gonna actually start, like, is the United States government going to actually like acknowledge that some of the things that they've been teaching for generations are not real? You know, are they going to acknowledge the deficits in the healthcare system and industry? The predatory occurrences, are they going to rehabilitate the people who have been adversely affected by that and this? They keep on telling me all this stuff, and I have nothing to do with it. I have all of this other shit of mine going on that I could barely like survive. And then they're like on to like what's going on in healthcare. Like, I need a sponsor to help me open a fucking healthcare consulting firm, please. I need an investment because we can profit off of what I know, you know? Or you can continue to allow them to corner me and drain the information out of me for free. One puts stability in my life and money in both of our pockets, and the other one just puts me in a situation of being victimized repeatedly. For the 4,000 of you who have been following me since I started this channel, when I started documenting the original abuses that had taken place at my home at 2037 West Roscoe, Chicago, Illinois 60618, I would like to thank you and also remind you that all of those victimizations have gone and continue to go on unaddressed. There's been no restitution paid. There's been no restoration. I am in a far worse position today than I was at that time. I owned a Cadillac CTS outright. I was working for approximately $2,000 to $4,000 a week as a renewable energy salesperson. I was making about 89 grand annual. With Dylan together, we were making close to 200K. I'm now driving Uber anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day, most days, working 7 days a week, have a child that's been kidnapped by the DCFS system, and 3 other children who have had to stay with their father for the last 6 years since all of this drama began upon the release of Dylan, inmate number Y12173. Oh, and the show Love After Lockup. And going back to that, my reason for agreeing to participate in that show was because I thought that it was a social justice show. I thought that it was about rehabilitating offenders and proving that people can fuck up and fix their lives, that there's nothing that you cannot recover from, and proving it. I pitched my entire business plan to the producers. Sports would be the conversion from sexy content, not sports, but athletics, fitness, wellness, nutrition, all surrounding weightlifting and other kinds of fitness, pole dancing, yoga, Pilates, weightlifting, running, HIIT, etc., and so forth. But they stole my business idea, gave it to someone else, and looked the other way while I was robbed, raped, beaten, abused, thrown outside, and held in a tent. And no one's going to do anything. Like, we're just going to let this shit go on in history. Like, sometimes I feel like this isn't even real. Like, sometimes I wake up in the morning and think, today will be the day that everything goes back to normal. You know, that I wake up from this fucking nightmare. But it never is. You have such contradictory, just ignorant information being spread that is so inaccurate and so wrong and so just prejudice. You have a blatant disregard for the fact that we caused racial segregation in 2026, financially and otherwise, by mass incarceration. And I thought the show was going to be about that too. No, the show is supposed to be positive, about mental health, about social justice, and they made it about making fun of Heather burning off my hair with bleach and then destroying me for 6 years following, so that they didn't look like they were lying to begin with. Can you imagine if they would have just left and I would have stood back up and started working and living my life and been successful? How then could they possibly have stuck with the narrative that I'm fucked up and crazy and out of my mind and uneligible to be a mother and unfit and all this other shit? Ineligible or incapable. Choose your word. Mind you, I had a 14-year-old at that time who lived with me with her brother and sister their entire lives. Nothing incapable about me. I scroll through this shit and it's trash. The people who they've enlisted as these role models are garbage. And rather than keeping it real in the day of the internet where transparency is not optional, they just continue to spend billions on covering up the truth. Billions. How in the fuck do you want anyone? Okay, let's give an example. I had an Uber customer today who served 22 years of an 85-year sentence unlawfully, unjustly, was wrongfully convicted, and then let out after 22 years of a sentence. Can you even imagine that? No one is talking about the flaws in the criminal justice system that allowed that. No one is talking about reformation. They're just victimizing more people. And then you look the other way because they've already been through so much. And before you know it, what's left? What is left? Sick. And I don't know where to go mentally from here because a therapist, I've been seeing the same therapist for a year and a half, a little over a year. I don't know what she's been through, but I know she's been through some shit. I trust her because I know she has suffered. Then you have all these other therapists who are living in six-figure incomes and have always lived in six-figure incomes or a dual six-figure income. And they're telling me I need to rest and relax, that's the problem. That my PTSD is being, that I'm not, no one is intentionally trying to make me go crazy, despite the video evidence of a car driving in front of me with a message written on the back windshield, Team Heather Go Crazy. And I have a witness. Hey, Xavier?
Yes.
Can you come here real quick?
Yeah.
Are you in the kitchen?
No, I'm right here.
Oh. Can you please speak to the class with regards to that truck that passed by us when we were leaving the baby's DCFS visit and tell them what it said?
Team Heather Go Crazy.
And what do you think they meant by that?
I don't know.
And do you know who they were who were driving?
No, it looked like it was like seniors when they write on their cars.
Right. Like a high school, like a, right.
Around prom time.
And since the time that they announced to us that they were quote unquote Team Heather Go Crazy, have you noticed an increase in what I've previously labeled as crazy making behaviors?
Yes.
So you and I both have witnessed a threat in actual English, or let's call it a promise, them promising that they will take effort in making me go crazy, followed by proof of that desire. And the proof is in the pudding. They're making me sit here crying, making me have very, very irrational thoughts at certain times, making me genuinely ponder, would I be better off without life? Would my children be better off if I were not here? Sometimes bringing both Xavier and I to the point where we cannot even communicate with each other because the chatter is so fucking loud. It won't shut up. After they saw that they couldn't make me go crazy by stalking me here in the comments or showing up at my house and breaking in and leaving condoms and HIV kits and Bibles all over the lobby, do you know what they did after that? They started making me believe that my children are in danger. They started creating, with the use of AI or I don't know what, digitally, real convincing proof that isn't true, that my kids are in danger. I don't know how to handle that. Am I supposed to drop every single thing that I'm doing, stop working, and just drive around looking for my children every time they don't answer the phone when they start fucking with me, telling me that my kids are unsafe and in danger, and I call them 30 times in a row, frantic? oh my God, on the internet they said this happened. What's going on? And the kids don't pick up. And then what? I'm supposed to drive across the city of Chicago to the suburbs to get a visual on my children and know that they're okay. And they're doing this to me 5-6 times a day, every day, since the day they announced they were going to make me go crazy. And there's no level of authoritative intervention for this that will protect Xavier and I. You're just going to keep on looking the other way and letting them do this to me in the United States of America, where I have fucking citizenship and I've lived here my entire life and been a contributing member of tax paying since I was 14 years old. Who else has been paying taxes in the United States of America since they were 14? That's almost 30 years of paying taxes. Not to mention the fact that I was booking a luxury hotel every weekend, and you pay $50 to $60 a night of tax every night. And I was doing that Friday to Sunday for about, 18 months. Not to mention all the food I ordered, all the groceries I purchased. I bought a car in this city and state. I paid a lot of taxes. Where in the fuck is the authoritative intervention and protection? Where in the fuck is the accountability, and where are the guidelines that hold people responsible, accountable, and liable? Let's go with that last one. For the damage that they continue to cause in my life, the path of fucking destruction. And then you have a therapist that wants to say, drug use is the problem. I don't use drugs. Okay, it's PTSD that's the problem. Okay, well, I have PTSD, but I'm pretty sure it's the blatant break-ins and intentional desire to make me go crazy that's actually causing this. No, it must be your parents' divorce when you were 11 years old. I don't think so. They will give you every excuse in the book for what could be causing these adverse responses. And then they will refer to us as traumatized and reactive. After months of being extorted, exploited, threatened to throw out in the street, served eviction notices, sexually assaulted, being physically assaulted, separated from the kids. And you have the audacity to say that my responses going online and fucking speaking the truth and cursing and getting upset when I'm alone in my car in private are reactive trauma responses? Elena, I'm pretty sure that they're all causal to the abuse that I've been enduring. I'm pretty sure that, how about we do this? Here's a fucking science experiment for you guys. How about we put Xavier and I and my kids in a safe space that's actually a house that I purchased for myself. Pay me a decent, fair living wage at a job that's comprehensive and allows me to use the skills that I've acquired, learned, and intentionally invested in college, as well as my tenure in the healthcare field. And we see if we're still having the same issues. Protect me from the assaults and the victimizations that I've been dealing with, for lack of a better explanation, enduring, and see if you still have the same reactive, traumatized language. And in addition to that, the only time you get reactive, traumatized language from me is when I'm in my car driving with myself alone, or possibly Xavier. That's it. So if someone is recording my voice with audio in my car and playing it back out of context, I have nothing to do with that, nor do I have any control over it. Are my sponsors still here? Am I in some sort of isolation? Does anyone know what the fuck is going on? Look at my babies. I just want to work my shift, make my money, go to sleep peacefully, check on my kids, make sure they're good, make sure they've eaten, make sure they have support, make sure they have, what they need, and continue minding my own business. I'm a fucking boss at a ton of shit. I could effectively manage any business. I could start a business. I could sell. I could run a promotions business, a promotions agency, and create contracts with McCormick Place vendors to work trade shows like I used to. I could go to the area nightclubs and create relationships with the general managers and, come up with some sort of a deal or contract to work in promotions, and then single-handedly build a promotions team by utilizing children here at the Loyola campus or the Evanston Northwestern campus that already go out anyways, that are college students, and get them deals and contracts to show up with people at these nightclubs, and I could take a cut of that. I could run a healthcare consulting agency. I could work in any capacity. I've managed eye doctors. I've managed regular doctors. I was the administrator at Northwestern Hospital for 6 years for the departments of rheum and endo at CLSMA. I've worked at the movie theaters. I've worked in food service. I've been a bartender numerous times, cocktail waitress numerous times, bottle service girl numerous times, personal trainer numerous times. I've worked at Export. I've worked at LA Fitness. But you're just going to keep on letting them follow me to every job I get and harass me out of the job? And then prevent me from seeking any sort of civil litigation so that I'm compensated appropriately for all the ways that they've broken me down? Please let this fall into the hands of a lawyer who could help. I want to be very clear. What's going on with me is 1000% environmental. When you raise a generation of fatherless and sometimes motherless children, you get problems. So I would say the solution to that would be to rehabilitate the parents, support the parents, and be silent to the children. If the child needs to be scolded or learn a lesson, you support the parent. Go tell the parent, this is what we're going to do. As a team, you're going to go over there and you're going to tell your daughter that that's unacceptable. As a team, you're going to go over there, going to tell your son that the dishes need to be done before he leaves, and that if he doesn't accept that, he needs to find a new place to live. As a team, you're going to go over there and say, and you work together to rehabilitate the parents. You don't throw the parents into the street, leave them for dead, and then put their children through the criminal justice system and say, society's failing. How fucking blind do you have to be to not see what's going on here? Tired of this shit. These are gross. Did you make the chicken rings?
Yeah.
You ate them all? There's not. Usually, Xavier, being that he's in my house, that I'm the only one that contributes financially. Usually, if I cook, I always cook for both of us. I've never once in my entire life since meeting him fed myself and not him. But lately, it's been hit or miss as to whether or not Xavier's going to show up to support. I think the crazy making behavior is getting to both of us. There's 100,000 ways that I could work as an influencer, lifestyle influencer, lingerie salesperson, waist trainer salesperson, spokesperson for 1,000,001 products that I could develop myself or purchase in bulk from fucking Alibaba. There's a million ways to be successful and profitable. But they don't fucking let me participate. So they want me for sex, I guess. And since I'm unwilling to be promiscuous with strangers for sex, this is the best they can do for me, I guess. I don't know. Eric Shull said that only good girls who SUCKDICK get to drive luxury vehicles. But keep on letting him have access to me. It's just gross. Anyone want to give their expert therapeutic opinion on what diagnosis I have that causes men to attempt to human sex traffic me? That must also be part of my psychological disorder, right? Minding my own fucking business and having someone present me with a prenuptial agreement proving that they're worth millions of dollars and promising to put me in a mansion with my kids as soon as they come home. That's a psychological disturbance, or that's clearly environmental and a victimization. Which one is it? Who the fuck needs the therapy? I read something the other day that said typically it's the victim getting the therapy when it's their abuser that needs it. Go fucking figure, because I know myself and I'm good, you know? I'm good. I'm solid. You can count on me. Never pimped anybody, you know, never forced anyone to sleep with strangers for profit. Never extorted or exploited a person out of their children, home, or car. Sickening. Never Botoxed someone in their sleep, only half of their face. What kind of a fucking hater ass bitch is gonna Botox half of my face? And it looks perfect. I went in for a touch up the other day on my lips, and the lady's like, well, do you want me to like dissolve it? And I'm like, no, dude, it looks like it's like 200 fucking units. It looks perfect. I just need to match it on the other side, and I don't have the budget for that right now. She's like, we'll do it next week. I'm like, okay, great. That's all I need. So I don't know if I should be saying thank you for breaking into my house, rendering me unconscious, and delivering me approximately, I don't know, 70 to 130 units of Botox on the top of my skull all the way to here. The whole area is just in general numb. Can't move it. Look. No movement on the whole right side. Can move my eye just fine, so it's not a stroke. Can move my entire face, but here up. And who knows anything about Botox? I do. Botox can't be used and is not indicated for here down, only here up. So go figure, that's the only fucking part of my face that won't move. But law enforcement, keep on fucking ignoring the fact that I'm being broken into and fucked with, though. Keep making me the bad guy in your story. Or is law enforcement back on my side now? Who knows who's playing for who? Can we get some jerseys in this bitch? So, if there's anyone out there who wants to know, I've never consented to any of this shit. I'd like to indict everyone involved, and I'd also like to go on living my life in a way where I don't have to be fearful to go to sleep in my own apartment and wake up with half of my face paralyzed. I know, picky Heather. Such high standards and ridiculous boundaries. What do you think the therapist would diagnose me with for having half of my face paralyzed by Botox? And I'm not talking about my therapist, Ernika. I'm talking about all of the therapists that they've wanted me to see in the past that I've said I don't feel I can relate with because they are definitely gaslighters that are unwilling to acknowledge actual reality and more comfortable with making their clients and customers and patients feel like they're the problem rather than the environment around them being the problem. All of this is environmental. Let me ask you this. If I wasn't being raped, trafficked, stalked, harassed, separated from my kids, bludgeoned, Botoxed, etc., do you think that they'd be able to say I'm crazy? Would I be on the internet begging strangers for help with this situation? I don't fucking think so. You know what I'd be doing? Selling something on the internet or creating some content or making money some other way, because you know why? I've been getting money since I was 14 years old. Not as a sugar baby, not as a prostitute, not as a drug addict, as a fucking good girl, a hard-working, honest, good girl. My first job, Mama Maria's in Elmhurst. I was a pizza restaurant, pizza girl, phone answering, placing your order type person. It was back in the old days when if you wanted to order food, you couldn't pull out your phone and just order Uber Eats or DoorDash. You had to actually call the restaurant, get on the phone with one of the 3 order takers. They'd see your name on caller ID and say, oh, hey, if you were in a small town like me, it'd be, oh, hey, Mrs. Smith, how's it going? This is Heather. What can I get you tonight? I also worked at Pizza Roberto's taking orders. After that, York Theater. After that, Noodles and Company. And these are just the jobs I worked before my 18th birthday. Not including babysitting, not including sales, not including any of the other things that I was a part of. When I say sales, I mean like product endorsement, product spec sharing, customer information, things of that nature. Before I was 18 years old, that's all the jobs that I had. And then after 18, don't even let me start. I started working in the fábricas cuando estoy embarazada con Viviana with my suegra, and I worked manual labor at factories while going to school for medical assisting and going to school online for my bachelor's in medical administration with a focus on new business development and medical law and ethics through AIU. And then transferring it to Triton College, and then transferring that to COD, and then transferring that to Illinois School of Medical Careers, and then compiling all of the credits that I got and saying, I have more than a bachelor's degree of credit, but I don't have any fucking certificate. Going back and getting certified for phlebotomy, and getting certified for medical assisting, and personal training. So if there's anyone who deserves to be fucking making money, it's me right here. I also have 4 dependents who I'm not currently being permitted to provide for in the way that they need and deserve. How the fuck am I supposed to accept this? I'm just going to go, next week, Friday or Saturday or something, and just have them match the other side, but I have to pay for that out of pocket, and I wasn't trying to get 200 units of Botox. I get half the recommended dose of Botox. I get like 30 units all over my entire face, at most. And that works for me and always has. I can feel where they've injected. It's awful. So here we are again, Heather going live for the 6th year in a row, giving proof and presenting evidence of numerous ways her physical safety, home, vehicle, personal belongings, family relationships have been nefariously and negatively affected, unlawfully, unethically, and immorally, and still, what do you fucking know? No resolution. What do you know? What a joke you people are, bro.